Hello, my name is Stephanie Yetibot and I'm a trained solicitor for Boggs, Dodge and Hassel Solicitors firm. I'm also a trained mediator, which is why I'm here today. In this video, Mrs. Airwax, I'm going to run through the procedure and the process of mediation and talk about the advantages of mediation for you and in just general, so you're not thrown off guard by anything. In mediation, our first process that we do have is the opening phase. And this is where we all come together, we introduce ourselves, but we also set down rules. And we also briefly outline the issue which has brought us here. The rules are not harsh, they're just simple rules that everyone can and should abide by so that things run smoothly. Like everything said in the meeting is confidential and cannot be used if agreement is not reached later on as evidence or told to a third party. We also have that you do not interrupt the other party while they're talking, and that in fact you write it down so that when your turn arises again, you can then address the issue that was being stated. We also say that mediation is a voluntary process and you're not obligated to stay, and in fact that you're free to leave any time you feel that you're uncomfortable or you do not want to continue. The second phase we do have is the exploration phase, and this is when the parties meet with me on a one-to-one basis and they kind of go through their issues and their concerns. They present their case and their issues to me and we work through them like that. Also very important to note that I am neutral in the situation. There isn't a wrong or right person, there's no winner, there's no loser. It's all about thinking of the right solution for you, which you come up with in the negotiation phase. I'm just here as a tool to help. I'm not here to dictate what you should do. It's all about the two parties meeting on mutual grounds. Then after that we have the closing phase, and this is where a settlement is reached or not reached. It's just the outcome stage. So if settlement is reached, then we may go on to draft a settlement, and if not, maybe more negotiation, maybe more mediation is needed in order to reach such a settlement. Now, Ms. Airwax, the advantages of mediation. It's not, the parties are in control in mediation. You're not being opposed by the courts to do anything. You're in control. It's you and the party finding mutual ground. And it's very fair for each other. Also, it's quite speedy and it doesn't cost a lot. It's not expensive. It's quite cost effective. In Stewart and Gallup 2010, it was said that the cost of proceedings are normally disproportionate to the value of land at stake. And especially in particular with your case, it's only the whole issue is about offence. Also in particular, if you look at Penlock and Henson 2010, Lord Justice Murmury said that litigation is very expensive and it normally leaves bad feelings between the neighbours, which is something that I would think that you didn't want to continue, as prior to the dispute, you and Mr. Skydive were on very good terms and had a very good relationship, and would think that that is something that you would like to continue and maybe heal that kind of process. Thank you, Mrs. Skydiver, Mrs. Airwax. Scenario 2, where Mrs. Airwax has gone through mediation and is looking to sign the draft agreement. Mrs. Airwax, we've gone through mediation, and this is the draft settlement that we have drawn up. We have 5 key points in it, which both you and Mr. Skydive have agreed on, have come to kind of a solution or mutual ground over. And that is, number 1, that Mr. Skydive will turn down his music and not play loud music out the window, which will hopefully stop your dog from barking, which will benefit the both of you in that issue. We also have that Mrs. Airwax, that when you do have guests over or friends over, that you just ask them to park somewhere else and not in front of Miss Skydiver's land, so that he's able to reverse out his car out with ease. The third point is that Mr. Skydiver will, when using his bins, will use them properly and cover them up, and will not dispose of takeaway boxes inappropriately, and use the bins given, and also cover up the lid, thereby taking away the odor and making sure that you have peace and can enjoy the land. We also have that you, Mrs. Airwax, you train your dog not to excrement on Mr. Skydiver's land, so that he can also enjoy his land, and that the issue there is squashed. Also, over the boundary, what we agreed, or what is being said, is that if Mr. Skydiver is to put up a fence to divide the land, that he'll put it in between the two marked points, right between the two marked points of the boundary distribute, so right in the middle. This allows you to get out your car with ease, considering that you have a bad back. Will get out your car with ease, and also does not narrow your driveway, and also gives him the freedom of enjoying his land, and it would cancel out the dispute. Mr. Airwax, why I say that you sign the draft agreement is because it's a good compromise. Like I said before, you're not imposed by the courts. I mean, no one being imposed by the courts, and breaking it will cause in serious penalties and consequences, where in the drafted settlement, you've kind of come to a mutual understanding. This is fair, and it does solve all the issues. And it is not biased to one side. It saves the cost of litigation, and also will stop the hard feeling between both neighbours, and will also allow you to begin to develop the relationship which you had prior to the dispute. Thank you very much.